Wherever you are right now, take a slow breath. Feel the air moving in and out. Notice the weight of your body, the way the ground holds you, without asking for anything in return. If you're sitting, feel the chair beneath you. If you're lying down, let yourself sink just a little deeper. The world can wait for now. There is only this moment. Now, let the sounds around you fade into the distance like waves pulling away from the shore. Maybe there's a clock ticking somewhere, maybe a car passing outside, maybe your own breath. Let them become soft, distant, like tiny echoes from another world. And now, imagine the sky above you. Maybe it's night already where you are, or maybe it's daytime and you're picturing the night to come. A dark canvas, deep and endless, scattered with stars. And there it is. The Moondartsy quotes, "Been there your whole life, silent, unchanging, watching, a pale, glowing companion to everything that has ever happened on this earth." You've seen it countless times, rising, setting, changing shape in its patient cycle-thin sliver to glowing circle, then fading again. But when was the last time you really looked at it? Really wondered what it is? I don't mean the easy answer, the one we all learned in school, a rock orbiting Earth. That's not wrong. But it's small, isn't it? Too small for something so vast, so mysterious. So let me place a thought in your mind, gently, like a stone dropped into still water. What if the moon was artificial, not just a rock, not a leftover from some cosmic accident, but something made, built, placed? Just let that thought rest for a moment. Don't try to grab it or explain it away. Let it ripple through you. What does it stir inside? Curiosity, doubt, a quiet thrill? Stay with it. Because tonight, whether you're listening in the deep stillness of midnight or in a quiet afternoon with the curtains drawn, we're going to wander together, slowly, carefully, into that possibility. Before we step forward, take another breath, in and out. Feel your shoulders soften, your jaw unclench. Let the tension melt, like ice under a warm sun. There's nowhere else you need to be right now, nothing else you need to do. We are going to stretch time together, to make it gentle, spacious, so that when we leave this thought journey, you'll feel like you've walked across a quiet, starry desert and come back with something you can't quite name, but will never forget. So, let's begin with what we know. Picture the moon in your mind as you've always seen it. A soft disk of light in the dark, sometimes bright enough to cast shadows across the ground, sometimes so faint it's barely there at all, like a whisper in the sky. It feels familiar, doesn't it? Comforting, like a night light for the world. People have slept under its glow for as long as there have been people. Lovers have walked under it. Poets have written to it. Farmers have planted by it. It has been with us, constant, unwavering. But now, imagine if someone told you it wasn't what you think, that it was built, not born. How would that change the way you see it? Would it still feel gentle? Or would it feel strange? Would you look up at night and feel watched or guided? Would it change the stories you've told yourself about life on Earth, about what it means to be human? Hold that question close for a moment. Because here's something curious. The moon isn't just any random rock. It's perfect. Its orbit, its size, the way it balances Earth like a careful hand holding a spinning top. Without the moon, the Earth would wobble wildly. Seasons would be chaos. Life, if it existed at all, might be clinging to the edges, fragile and temporary. The moon keeps the Earth steady, stable, gentle enough for forests and oceans, for animals and humans, for you. And it does something else. It pulls at the oceans. Gently, like fingers stirring water in a bowl, it makes the tides. Without tides, the rhythm of life would be different, maybe impossible. And then there's this. The moon is almost exactly the right size, at exactly the right distance, to cover the sun perfectly during an eclipse. Not too big, not too small, just perfect. Is that a coincidence? Maybe. Maybe not. Let your mind wander there for a while. Don't rush. If the moon was placed, it means someone or something wanted it there. They understood orbits, tides, seasons. They understood balance. But who and why? Was it an ark carrying life across the emptiness of space? Was it a machine regulating Earth like a gardener tending a fragile plant? Or was it a beacon watching, waiting, silently observing across billions of years? And if that's true, what does it mean for us? Are we part of its plan, or just an accident? Now I want you to imagine something. Billions of years ago, Earth young, wild, molten, rivers of fire, storms that lasted centuries, and then the moon. How did it get there? Some say it was born from the Earth, torn out in a great collision. Others say it was captured drifting through space until Earth's gravity snared it. But what if neither is true? What if it was brought here deliberately? Picture that for a moment. Something moving across the stars, carrying the moon like a jewel in a dark ocean, placing it gently in orbit, like an artist framing a painting. And if that happened, what else might have happened? We'll explore that, slowly, carefully. But first, let's pause here at the edge of the question. Close your eyes if you can. Picture the moon as you know it. Bright, round, still. Now imagine it is not what you think. Imagine it is hollow. Imagine rooms deep inside it, dark and silent. Machines sleeping, waiting. Imagine corridors that have not felt footsteps for 1 billion years. Feel the chill of that thought. Not fear, just wonder. And let's carry that wonder with us as we go deeper. Before we leap too far into the unknown, let's come back for a moment to what we know. Or at least, what we think we know. The moon has been part of our lives for so long that it feels ordinary, common, just another piece of the night sky. But it isn't, not really. It has shaped everything, our calendars, our myths, our rhythms, our sense of time itself. Look back, far back, to the first humans who ever gazed at it. Imagine them, small fires flickering against the vast dark faces tilted upward, eyes wide. The stars were countless, scattered like silver dust across black velvet. But the moon was something else, bigger than anything else in the sky. Brighter, changing its shape yet never disappearing for long. It must have felt alive. It must have felt like a presence. And so they gave it meaning, names, faces, stories. The moon became a god, a goddess, a guide. It ruled the night the way the sun ruled the day. In some cultures, it was the mother of life. In others, the keeper of secrets. The moon didn't just hang there silently. It spoke in symbols and cycles. Think about this. Before clocks, before calendars, before writing, the moon was the first timekeeper. Its phases told people when to plant, when to harvest, when to hunt. It set the rhythm of life. Every new moon, every full moon, marked a point in time. Without it, how different would human history be? Would we have learned to count time the same way? Would we have stories of months and seasons? Would we even think of time as we do now? And the myths, oh, there are so many. In ancient Mesopotamia, the moon was Nana, the wise father, shining in the night. In Greece, it was Selene, riding her silver chariot across the sky. In China, it was Chang'e, the goddess who drank the elixir of immortality and floated away to live on the moon forever. In Africa, it was a lantern hung in the dock, a light given by the gods so that people would not be afraid. Everywhere you look in the past, the moon is there, worshipped, feared, adored. It was never just a rock. It was a presence, something that mattered. Why? Because even then, without science, without telescopes, people could feel its pull. They didn't know about gravity, but they knew the tides came and went with the moon. They didn't know about axial tilt, but they knew the seasons followed its cycle. And here's something curious. So many of those myths speak of the moon as something separate, something that came later. There are stories of a time before the moon existed. The ancient people of Colombia spoke of a dark age before the moon appeared. The Greeks had whispers of a pre-lunar time, a world lit only by stars and sun. Even Aristotle wrote about people who lived before the moon. Why would so many cultures share that idea? Did they just imagine it? Or were they remembering something very old, passed down like a faded photograph, a memory of Earth before its silent companion arrived? Now pause and consider this. The moon has no life of its own, no air, no water, just a cold, dead surface, pocked with craters, silent as the grave. And yet, it has shaped everything alive. Without it, Earth would spin like a drunkard, staggering through space. Seasons would lurch from one extreme to another. Ice ages and fire ages might come and go so quickly that nothing could survive. The moon calms that chaos. It holds Earth steady. It makes life possible. And it does something else, something stranger. It speaks to us, not in words, but in feelings. You know it, you felt it. That hush that falls when you walk under a full moon. That strange pull, like a thread tied to something deep inside you. Poets have tried to name it for thousands of years, but maybe it can't be named. Maybe it's just connection. To what, though? To nature? To the cosmos? Or to something else entirely? Think about how perfectly placed the moon is. It's not just close enough to light our nights, but close enough to move oceans, to shape tides. Not too close, or the tides would tear continents apart. Not too far, or the seas would fall silent. Just the right distance, just the right size. And then there's the eclipse. When the moon passes in front of the sun, It fits so perfectly that it covers the sun's disk almost exactly, leaving only a halo of fire. Do you know how rare that is? No other planet we know has that, not one. Does that feel like an accident? Or does it feel like something more? And here's another thing. The moon is moving away. Slowly, about 1.5 inches each year. Millions of years ago, it was closer. The tides were stronger. The eclipses were different. One day, far in the future, there will be no more total eclipses. The moon will be too far to cover the sun. So we live in a very narrow slice of time, a window when the moon and the sun look the same size in the sky. What are the odds of that? Out of billions of years, we happen to exist right now, in the only age when this perfect alignment is possible. Coincidence? Maybe. But it feels deliberate, doesn't it? Now imagine being one of those early humans staring up at the moon in a time before electricity, before cities. The night was truly dark then. The stars burned bright, and the moon lit the land like a silver lamp. Imagine lying on your back in the grass, staring at that glowing disk, wondering what it was. A god, a spirit, a world like ours, or something else, something beyond imagining. They didn't know. We still don't, not really. We have theories, sure. Science tells us the moon formed when a planet the size of Mars slammed into the Earth, throwing debris into space that gathered into a ball.
Sounds neat, sounds tidy.
But is it true? If the moon came from the Earth, why is its composition so strange? Why is it less dense? Why does it have metals where it shouldn't? Why are there signs that its interior might be hollow? We'll come back to that. But for now, stay with the mystery. Stay with the idea that the moon is not just an accident of nature, not just a leftover rock, but something more. Something that has been watching, shaping, guiding from the shadows. And think about this. If the moon were gone, just gone overnight, what would happen? The tides would vanish. The oceans would grow still. But that's just the beginning. The earth would start to wobble. Slowly at first, then more and more. Winters would become brutal. Summers scorching. Storms would rage like nothing we've ever seen. Whole ecosystems would collapse. Life, as we know it, would not survive. We depend on the moon more than we realize. It doesn't just light the night, it holds our world together. It is, in a very real sense, the anchor of life. So what does that mean for our question? If the moon is so perfectly placed, if life needs it so badly, is it really so crazy to wonder if it was meant to be there? If it was put there on purpose? Hold that thought. Let it echo, because in the next part, we'll go deeper. We'll leave myths behind and look at the strange facts, the things science has seen but can't quite explain. The things that make you stop and wonder if maybe, just maybe, there's more to this story than we've been told. For now, just remember this: the moon is not ordinary. It never was. It has been with us from the dawn of time, shaping our days and nights, our tides and seasons, our stories and songs. But what if it's more than that? What if it's not just part of the story? What if it's the beginning of the story, the key to something far greater than we can imagine? Let's talk about coincidence. The universe is full of it, they say. Randomness, chance. A game of dice played across billions of years, and maybe that's true. Maybe everything we see, every star, every planet, every breath in your lungs is just an accident of physics. But when you look at the moon really look, you start to wonder, because the numbers don't add up. Not if this was all supposed to be random. Start with this. The moon is 400 times smaller than the sun. Tiny compared to that blazing giant. And yet the moon is also about 400 times closer to us than the sun is. Do you know what that means? It means that from where we stand, they look the same size in the sky. The same size. Think about how precise that is. Not a little bigger, not a little smaller. Perfect. So perfect that when the moon passes in front of the sun, it covers it almost exactly, leaving only a halo of fire. That's what makes a total solar eclipse possible. And we are the only known planet where that happens. Now, how do you explain that? How do you explain a coincidence that exact? There are no rules of physics that say this has to happen, no cosmic law that demands the moon be just the right size at just the right distance to create that perfect illusion. It could have been anything. The moon could have been a speck. Like Mars's moon's too small to do more than cast a little shadow. Or it could have been a monster, looming huge in our sky. But no, it's perfect. Perfect enough to create one of the most awe-inspiring sights in nature. The eclipse, a moment so powerful that it stops people in their tracks, makes them drop everything, stare at the heavens, and feel something they can't explain. Coincidence? Maybe. But how many perfect coincidences does it take before you start to question the odds? Here's another. The moon's orbit. It's almost perfectly circular. Most moons, most satellites, natural or artificial, have orbits that are more eccentric, stretched into ellipses. But not our moon. It moves in a near-perfect circle around us, almost as if it was meant to. Almost as if someone placed it there with care, with precision. And then there's the tilt. The moon's orbit is aligned in such a way that, from Earth, we always see the same face. The near side, the one with the big dark patches we call Maria seas, though they're not seas at all. The far side, we never see it, not without spacecraft. Was that just luck? Or was it design? Because if the moon was spinning even a little faster or a little slower, we'd see different faces over time. But no, it's locked. Tidal locking, they call it. A dance of gravity that took millions of years to settle. But it settled in a way that gives us one face, one view, always watching us, like an eye that never blinks. And if that doesn't make you wonder, consider this. The moon's orbit is almost perfectly aligned to Earth's equator in a way that allows for those flawless eclipses, those alignments that seem orchestrated. If it were tilted just a little more or a little less, eclipses would be sloppy, off-center, incomplete. But they're not. They're exact. They're breathtaking. So ask yourself, how many layers of precision can we chalk up to chance? How many times can the dice land exactly right before you start to suspect the game is rigged? Now, let's go deeper. Let's talk about size ratios. The moon is about 1/4 the size of Earth. That may not sound like much, but in cosmic terms, it's huge. No other planet in the solar system has a moon that big compared to itself. Mars has 2 little rocks, Phobos and Deimos, tiny things that barely deserve the name moon. Jupiter has dozens of moons, some enormous, but Jupiter itself is a giant. Compared to its bulk, those moons are nothing, but Earth is different. Our moon is massive in proportion. So massive that some scientists have called the Earth-Moon system a double planet. That's how unusual it is. A planet and a moon, almost like a pair. Almost like they belong together. And yet, according to the standard theory, the giant impact hypothesis, that wasn't supposed to happen. The story goes like this. A Mars-sized planet slammed into Earth billions of years ago, and the debris gathered into the moon. Sounds neat. Sounds like an explanation, but it raises more questions than it answers. If the moon came from Earth, why is its composition so strange? Its density is lower than Earth's. Its iron core is tiny. Its isotopic ratios, the fingerprints of its matter, are almost identical to Earth's, yet its water content is different. Some parts of the moon are older than any rock on Earth. And here's the kicker. The moon shouldn't be hollow, but there are signs that parts of it might be. We'll get to that later. For now, stay with the numbers, because numbers don't lie. And the numbers say this: the moon is too perfect. Its size, its distance, its orbit all fit together in a way that feels deliberate. And here's another thought. What if the moon weren't there? What if Earth had no moon at all? Would life exist? Probably not. Without the moon, Earth's tilt would wobble wildly over time, swinging from near zero to over 60 degrees. That means climate chaos. Ice ages boiling into heat waves. Seasons twisting, breaking, vanishing. Without the moon, the tides would shrink to a whisper. The oceans would stagnate. Coastal ecosystems would collapse. The mixing of nutrients that feeds marine life would stop. The moon isn't just decoration. It's a stabilizer, a regulator, the quiet architect of life. So ask yourself this: if life depends on the moon so completely, and the moon is so perfectly placed, is that really an accident? Or is it a sign, a clue, a whisper that the story we've been told, the story of randomness and chance, isn't the whole story? Let's go even deeper. Think about the timing. The moon is drifting away, little by little. Every year it moves about 3.8 centimeters farther from Earth. That means in the distant past it was closer, the tides were stronger, the eclipses were different. And in the far future it will be too far to create a total eclipse. The perfect alignment will be gone. Do you know what that means? It means we are living in the only window of time out of billions of years when the moon and the sun appear exactly the same size in the sky. What are the odds of that? Think about it. Out of the entire lifespan of Earth, you are alive now in this razor-thin moment when eclipses happen. Coincidence? Or something else? And there's more. When we measure the ratios, the distance between Earth and Moon, the size of the Sun compared to both, the timing of the orbits, we find patterns, ratios that repeat, numbers that fit together like gears in a machine. Some call it numerology. Others call it nonsense. But what if it's not nonsense? What if it's a fingerprint? A signature? What if someone or something wanted to leave a mark, a message hidden in plain sight? I'm not saying the moon is artificial, not yet, but I am saying this. The more you look, the harder it is to believe this is all just chance. The precision is too sharp. The alignment is too perfect, and perfect is not a word nature uses often. So where does that leave us? With questions, big ones. If the moon is not just an accident, then what is it? Who or what put it there? And why? In the next part, we'll peel back another layer. We'll look at the strange anomalies, the things the Apollo missions found, the things they heard, the things they couldn't explain. Because once you see those, the idea of perfect coincidence starts to feel like something else entirely, something far more deliberate, something that changes everything we think we know about our nearest neighbour in space. For now, hold this thought: perfect alignments are rare in nature. But when you see them, when you see something so exact, so precise, so improbable, you have to ask, is this really a coincidence, or is it a clue? The moon has been watching us for as long as we've existed. Every night it hangs there, silent, pale, cold like a sentinel. But is it just a dead rock, a barren world, or is it hiding secrets we were never meant to uncover? When humanity first looked up, the moon was a mystery. When we built telescopes, it stayed a mystery. And even after we landed on it, after Apollo astronauts walked its surface and planted flags, the moon remained silent. But silence is not the same as emptiness, because the more we studied it, the more strange it became. Let's start with something simple: the craters. From Earth, the moon looks pockmarked, battered by eons of impacts. But look closer. Most of those craters are the same depth. Big craters, small craters, different diameters, same depth. That doesn't make sense. On Earth, when an asteroid hits, the bigger the rock, the deeper the hole. That's basic physics. But the moon breaks the rule. The craters are shallow, as if the surface is much harder than it should be. Some scientists have suggested that just under the moon's surface there's something dense, something impenetrable, something that stops impacts from digging deep. What could that be? A metal layer? A shell? Or something artificial? And then there's the ringing. Yes, ringing. In 1969, during Apollo 12, astronauts set off a controlled explosion by crashing part of the lunar module onto the surface. Seismometers were listening, and what they heard was impossible. The moon rang like a bell. For nearly an hour, vibrations echoed through it, like the sound was bouncing off a hollow chamber. Later missions confirmed it. Every time something hit the moon, whether a piece of spacecraft or a natural impact, it vibrated, not like solid rock, like something with empty space inside. Scientists scrambled for explanations. Maybe the moon's structure is fractured. Maybe it's weirdly dry, so sound travels differently. Maybe, but hollow. That's the word people remember. The moon rang like a bell, and bells are hollow. Now let's talk about the lights. For centuries, astronomers have reported strange flashes on the moon, glows, sparks, even moving lights. They call them TLPs, transient lunar phenomena. Official science treats them as dust clouds or gas releases. But the truth is, no one knows. Some reports are hundreds of years old. Others come from modern observatories. Bright spots that appear, fade, reappear, sometimes in the same places, over and over. Why? The moon is supposed to be dead. No air, no weather, no volcanoes. So what's making those lights? And then there's the weird behavior. The moon shouldn't be where it is. It shouldn't orbit the way it does. Its center of mass is not in the middle, it's offset, shifted toward Earth by almost 2 kilometers. That's strange. really strange. It's like someone put extra weight on one side to make it face us perfectly. And remember, it always shows the same face. Always. And a cosmic coincidence or an engineered design. Even its age is strange. Some lunar rocks brought back by Apollo are older than any rock on Earth. Older than the oldest mountains. Older than the oldest ocean floors. Some scientists think the moon might be older than Earth itself. How does that work if the moon formed from Earth's debris? The story doesn't add up. Not unless the moon came from somewhere else. Not unless it was placed here, and the surface full of anomalies, strange dome-like structures, long straight lines that look like roads or walls visible in some old photos, blurred or missing in others. Towers, yes, towers tens of miles high, casting shadows. Mainstream science dismisses them as illusions, tricks of light. Maybe they are, or maybe they're not. Maybe they're ruins, or something still active. Then there's the Apollo mystery. When the astronauts were up there, they heard things. Voices? No. But sounds? Knocking, echoes, and strange transmissions NASA never explained. Astronauts spoke in code sometimes. They described Santa Claus on the horizon. That was their slang for unidentified objects. Did they see something? Did they see someone? We may never know, because so much of what happened on those missions is still classified. Decades later, people who worked on Apollo whisper about tapes that vanished, photos that were edited. Why hide something if there's nothing to hide? And here's the biggest question. Why haven't we gone back? The last Apollo mission was in 1972. Since then, nothing. No manned missions. No permanent base. We've sent robots to Mars. We've landed probes on comets, but the moon, the place closest to us, the place we conquered 50 years ago, we've stayed away. Some say it's money, some say it's politics, but others wonder, did someone warn us off? Did we find something up there, something we weren't supposed to see? The moon is quiet, it doesn't speak. But silence can be full of meaning, and if you listen closely to the anomalies, to the odd patterns, to the things we can't explain, you start to hear a story that doesn't fit the textbooks, a story that whispers of design, of intention, of something far older and stranger than we dare imagine. So what is the moon? A rock? A relic, or something else entirely? Something built, something left behind, something that watches. In the next part, we go deeper. We look at the theories, wild, controversial, impossible theories, the ones scientists laugh at, the ones conspiracy theorists obsess over, the ones that ask the question no one wants to say out loud. What if the moon is not natural at all? If the moon is strange, if it breaks the rules of nature, then what does that mean? There's a question here, a question most scientists will never ask out loud, but we're going to ask it, because someone has to. What if the moon isn't natural at all? What if it was built? I know how that sounds. Impossible. Crazy. Like something from a science fiction novel. But let's be honest. A lot of what we take for granted today was once called impossible flying machines. Nuclear power, walking on the moon itself. So let's set aside disbelief for a moment. Let's open the door to ideas that might explain the moon's strangest secrets. The first theory is the simplest, and maybe the most shocking. The moon is a hollow structure, a shell. Imagine a sphere, not solid, but with vast, empty spaces inside. Why would anyone build something like that? For strength? For efficiency? For storage? Some researchers, very fringe, very controversial, believe the moon could be an artificial world. A megastructure, something created by an intelligence so advanced, so far beyond us, that we can barely understand it. If that sounds like fantasy, remember this. Our own scientists dream of building giant space habitats one day. Hollow spheres spinning to create gravity. The concept is old. Gerard O'Neill wrote about it in the 1970s. But what if someone else did it first? Not just thousands of years ago, millions, maybe billions. If the moon is hollow, it would explain why it rang like a bell. It would explain why craters don't go deep, as if there's an armored layer just under the surface. It would explain the strange density. The moon is lighter than Earth, but too light for a solid body its size. And it would explain why the far side is so different from the near side. Maybe that's where the machinery is. Maybe that's where the engines sleep. The second theory goes even further. Not just hollow, not just artificial, but a ship. Yes, a ship. Not a small one, not like the ones in movies, but a vessel the size of a world. A craft that travelled through space, carrying something or someone. The Russian scientists Mikhail Vasin and Alexander Sherdakov proposed this in the 1970s. They wrote that the moon might be a hollowed-out planetoid, a spaceship disguised as a natural satellite. They even suggested it was covered with armour, a shell of metal, dozens of miles thick. Under that shell, caverns, compartments, maybe entire ecosystems once existed inside. If that's true, then the moon is not just old, it's ancient, a relic from a time before Earth had life, a visitor from the stars parked in orbit like a guardian or a prison. The third theory is even stranger. The moon is not a ship, it's a machine, a mechanism with a purpose. Think about it. The moon stabilizes Earth's tilt. Without it, our planet would wobble like a spinning top. Seasons would be chaotic, climate unstable. Life, as we know it, might never have happened. Coincidence? Maybe. But what if it's not? What if someone put the moon there to make Earth habitable, a terraforming device? A cosmic caretaker, a tool built to seed life on a planet that would otherwise remain barren. That sounds impossible until you look at the precision, the size, the orbit, the way the moon perfectly eclipses the sun, as if designed for observation. Too neat, too perfect, too intentional. But here's the wildest idea of all. The moon is not just a machine. It's a station, a base, a place that watches us. Some say it's a listening post, monitoring Earth. Others think it's a vault, storing knowledge, or DNA, or something beyond imagining. A few even believe it's inhabited. Not by us, by them. Whoever built it, or whoever claimed it long after it was built. And if that's true, then maybe the reason we haven't gone back isn't politics. Maybe it's because someone told us not to. Maybe we were warned. Are there signs of that? Some people say yes. They point to strange photos from Apollo missions. Objects in the sky that weren't stars. structures in the distance. Long shadows that don't match the terrain. NASA calls them tricks of light, camera artifacts. Maybe they are. But then there are the astronauts' words they spoke in code. Words about Santa Claus, words that hint they saw something they couldn't explain and weren't allowed to discuss. Of course, there are other theories. Some think the moon is a relic of an ancient civilization, not alien human. Maybe our species isn't as young as we think. Maybe there was a time before history, before memory, when humans or something like us had the technology to move worlds, and then something happened. A collapse. A reset. The moon remains, silent and waiting, a monument to a forgotten age. And then there's the theory no one likes to talk about. The moon is alive. Not in the way Earth is alive, not with forests and oceans, but alive in a way we can't comprehend. A living machine, a sentient structure, a being made of metal and dust and silence. What would that mean? That we've been circling a mind for millions of years, that it has been watching us, learning us, shaping us. Is that too far-fetched? Maybe. But so is the idea that everything about the moon, its orbit, its size, its perfect fit in the sky, is just an accident. Now, I'm not telling you which of these theories is true. Maybe none of them are. Maybe the moon is just a rock, a relic of cosmic chaos. But if that's all it is, why does it keep whispering questions we can't answer? Why does it feel like more? Think about it. Look up at the night sky. See that pale disk hanging there. Does it feel like a coincidence? Or does it feel deliberate? Because if even one of these theories is true, just one, then the moon isn't what we think it is. It never was. And that means everything we know about our past, our place in the universe, is wrong. In the next part, we'll explore the evidence people claim to have seen, the anomalies, the strange photos, the reports NASA won't explain, things that might be mistakes, or might be proof. If the moon is just a dead rock, then everything about it should make sense. But it doesn't. There are cracks in the story, shadows that don't belong, patterns that whisper of something hidden. Tonight we'll pull those threads. We'll look at the evidence, things we've seen, things recorded by machines, and things no one wants to talk about. Let's begin with the surface. The moon looks simple at first glance, dusty plains, cratered highlands, nothing more. But look closer. Those craters, for example, they don't behave like they should. On Earth, when a meteor strikes, it digs deep. It creates a bowl that narrows as it goes down. But on the moon, most craters are shallow, wide, yes, but with flat bottoms. As if something stopped the impact, as if there's an armoured layer under the dust, protecting what lies beneath. And here's the odd part. The craters stay the same depth, no matter how big they are. That shouldn't happen. A tiny meteor should make a shallow hole. A huge one should punch through, gouge a deep wound. But the moon says no. Every crater same depth. Like a car denting the hood of a tank. And then there are the Maria, the seas of the moon. Vast dark plains that were once thought to be oceans. We know now they're basalt, hardened lava. But where did that lava come from? The moon doesn't have the heat for that. No volcanoes, no molten core like Earth. It should be cold, dead, quiet. And yet, Something melted its surface long ago. Something poured rivers of fire, then froze them in place. Was it internal forces we don't understand or something else entirely? Now let's talk about movement. In 1969, during Apollo 12, the astronauts set off a seismic experiment. They crashed part of their spacecraft into the moon, a deliberate impact, to measure the vibrations. What happened stunned them. The moon rang, not for a few seconds, not for a minute, for almost an hour. A slow, echoing vibration, as if the entire world was hollow. NASA scientists described it like a bell. That word again, bell, hollow, metallic, alive. They tried it again with Apollo 13, bigger impact. Same result, the moon rang even longer. To this day, no one fully explains it. Some say it's the way the rock transmits waves. Others suspect something deeper, literally deeper. Then there are the lights. Yes, lights. For centuries, people have reported strange flashes on the moon, bright bursts, glows, pulses of colour. Astronomers call them transient lunar phenomena. They've seen them for hundreds of years, long before electricity, long before modern telescopes. Sometimes they're brief, a flicker in the dark. Sometimes they last minutes. Red, blue, blue, white, glowing as if something is alive up there or working. NASA admits these lights exist, but can't say why. And then we have the photographs. Oh, the photographs taken by Apollo astronauts, by probes, by telescopes. Most are exactly what you'd expect: dust, rocks, shadows. But some are not so simple. Structures, towers, domes, things that look too regular, too geometrical. Of course, NASA says they're illusions, tricks of light, pixel artifacts. But look at them closely. Some rise from the horizon like spires. Others glint as if made of metal. A few seem broken ruins of something old, shattered by time. And what about the far side, the side we never see from Earth? The side locked away in darkness, facing the endless void. When the first images came back, scientists were shocked. It's nothing like the near side, rugged, scarred, a chaos of craters and mountains. Why the difference? Why does the moon hide its strange face from us? Coincidence or design? Then there are the voices of the astronauts. They never spoke plainly, not in public, but listen to the tapes, read the transcripts. You'll find fragments, half sentences, strange pauses. Apollo 11 - Armstrong and Aldrin speaking in code about Santa Claus. What does that mean? NASA says it was a joke. Maybe. But other missions report objects in the sky. Unidentified lights, things that followed them, things that shouldn't be there. Were they reflections or watchers? And then there's the question no one wants to ask. Why did we stop going? We went 6 times, then we quit, packed up, came home, never returned. Oh, there are reasons. Sure, money, politics, risk. But think about it. The greatest achievement in human history, and we just walked away for 50 years? Not even to build a base, to mine resources, to stay for good. Why? Some whisper it's because we weren't alone, that something was there, something that told us, enough. Go home, you've seen enough. Is that true? We don't know. Maybe we never will. But here's what we do know. The moon is full of riddles. Riddles we can't solve. craters that don't behave, rocks that ring like metal, lights that flicker in the dark, photos that raise questions no one wants to answer, and above all, the silence. A silence that feels deliberate, like someone waiting, watching. Now you can dismiss all this. Call it coincidence, call it imagination, call it conspiracy. But when you look up tonight, when you see that cold white face hanging in the sky, ask yourself, are we looking at a rock or a secret? Because if even one of these anomalies is real, then the moon is not what we think. It never was. In the next part, we'll go deeper. Beyond the anomalies, beyond the whispers, we'll ask the question that changes everything. If the moon is not natural, if it was placed there, then who put it there? And why? If the moon is artificial, then we have to ask the impossible question. Who built it? That is a question that stretches imagination to its breaking point. Because it's not just about size or distance, it's about precision, technology, and timing. The moon is enormous, bigger than any structure humanity has ever dreamed of. And it's not just a sphere, it's a sphere with perfect orbit, perfect stability, perfect alignment with the sun. Who could have engineered that? Let's start with the obvious answer. Maybe it wasn't us. Humans are too young, too small, too fragile. Civilization barely scratched the surface of knowledge a few thousand years ago. We didn't even know how to harness electricity, let alone move a world into orbit. So if it's artificial, it had to be someone older, someone far more advanced, an intelligence so vast that what we call science would look like a child's game in comparison. Now think about the moon's age. It predates complex life on Earth. It predates multicellular organisms. Some rocks from the moon are over 4 billion years old. That's ancient. If it was built, then whoever built it did so before life as we know it even existed. They were here first, in a sense. They planted a sentinel, a machine, a world-sized artifact, and then left, or maybe stayed hidden, and they made it perfect, precise, immovable, enduring, because they had the vision to think in billions of years. Some researchers have suggested that the builders weren't local, not from Earth, not from the solar system. Think about it. To move an object that large, to set it in orbit with exact parameters, requires technology we can barely imagine. You need propulsion, guidance, engineering at scales incomprehensible. You need a civilization capable of cosmic foresight, planning, and execution. Maybe they observed Earth, studied it for millions of years, and then decided this planet is worth stabilizing, worth shaping, worth watching. Other theories are even bolder. Some speculate that the moon itself is a relic of a previous civilization, one that no longer exists. Imagine a species once as intelligent as or more than humans, capable of interstellar engineering, capable of moving moons, building shells, creating machines that endure eons. They left, died, or vanished, and the moon remained, a monument, a machine, a message. Its purpose might still be ongoing, but its builders are gone, or watching from afar. Could the builders be something entirely beyond our comprehension? Maybe. Maybe they are not biological at all. Maybe they are synthetic intelligences, self-sustaining machines that survived the ages. Machines that created the moon as a tool, a protector, a clock, a beacon. If so, what do they want? Observation, guidance, something more subtle shaping the course of life itself, and consider the possibility that the builders were not benevolent, nor malevolent, but indifferent. They created the moon with a purpose, but that purpose doesn't require us to understand it. Perhaps they shaped Earth's tides, its rotation, its seasons, not for life, but as part of a cosmic experiment. Maybe life is an accidental byproduct, a side effect, a variable in a long-term test. If that's the case, then the moon isn't a guardian. It's a device, and we are the subjects of its influence. Some people imagine them as observers, watchers who still linger in the cosmos. They built the moon, set it in orbit, and left markers, instructions, hidden signals encoded in the lunar rocks, in the orbits, in the structure itself. A civilization beyond comprehension might leave a signature in the universe like that. It's subtle, precise, hidden in plain sight. A monument, a warning, or an invitation. And then there's the question of intent. Why would someone create the moon? Stabilization, certainly. Cooptionation, maybe. Or perhaps the moon was a seed, a template for life. A world that regulates another world, nurturing its conditions to allow life to flourish. If that's true, then the builders were architects of destiny, shaping evolution itself, guiding the rise of life billions of years before humans existed. They weren't just engineers, they were planners, visionaries, strategists, at the scale of planets. But here's the hardest part. We may never know. They might have left as if their work is complete. Or they might still be there, watching, waiting, their presence hidden in ways we cannot detect. Perhaps they built safeguards, protections. Perhaps they expect us to reach a certain level of knowledge, a certain technological maturity before revealing themselves, or allowing us to fully understand. And if so, everything we know about our place in the universe is provisional, conditional. We are children looking at a machine made by gods we don't understand. And what does that mean for us? If the moon was built, then we are part of a plan far larger than ourselves. Every ocean tide, every seasonal shift, every eclipse, every light in the night sky is part of a system we inhabit but did not design. That can be awe-inspiring, terrifying, humbling, because it means the universe is not random. The moon is not random. We are not random. And yet we exist, free in our choices, yet framed by forces beyond comprehension. The moon could be a library, a laboratory, a lifeboat. It could be a guardian, a prison, or a time capsule. Its builders might have long vanished, or they may be patient, watching the slow dance of Earth and humans across millions of years. The scale of their thinking is beyond imagination, but the effects are here. We live in the shadow of their work every day, seeing its perfection, feeling its rhythm, influenced by its pull. The moon shapes life, shapes time, shapes our world, and possibly it shapes us. So ask yourself, who could have done this? Not a race from Earth, not our contemporaries. Only a civilization that sees time in billions of years, that understands forces on cosmic scales, that can think in ways that dwarf human understanding. And if they existed or still exist, what is their relationship to us? Friend, observer, experimenter, architect, or something entirely alien to our concept of morality, of intention, of design? The builders are the ultimate question. The moon itself is the evidence. And the more we study it, the more anomalies we find, the more precise and improbable it seems, the more compelling the idea becomes. Someone, something, placed it there, and it has watched humanity evolve from the shadows, silent, eternal, perfect. If the moon was built, then it wasn't built for nothing. Everything about it, the size, the orbit, the precise distance, the perfect alignment with the sun, suggests a purpose. But what purpose could be so vast, so deliberate, that it shaped the life of an entire planet for billions of years? The first and most obvious possibility is stabilization. The moon keeps Earth's axis steady. Without it, our planet would tilt and wobble unpredictably. Seasons would become chaotic. Climates could swing wildly. Ice ages and heat waves could alternate with no rhythm at all. The moon is like a cosmic gyroscope, holding the Earth upright and giving life the stability it needs to thrive. Could that stability really be an accident? Or is it deliberate, a gift? Or perhaps an experiment in creating the right conditions for life? Then there's the tidal pull. The moon doesn't just sit there. It reaches out to the oceans, pulling and shaping the water. Tides rise and fall, mixing nutrients, creating environments that nurture countless species. Some scientists believe that life on Earth began in tidal zones, the shores, the shallow waters, the places that cycle between wet and dry. Without tides, life might never have evolved as it did. And if the moon is artificial, then it wasn't just stabilizing the planet, it was shaping life itself, guiding evolution in subtle, invisible ways. Every wave, every ebb and flow could be part of a plan we barely understand. Next, consider the eclipses. The moon's size and distance allow it to cover the sun perfectly, creating rare, fleeting moments of darkness during the day. Those eclipses have been awe-inspiring to humans since the dawn of consciousness. Civilizations worshipped them, feared them, measured time by them. Could that be the purpose? To inspire, to teach, to signal to intelligent observers that life had emerged, that consciousness had reached a level where it could witness the perfection of cosmic design. And what about illumination? The moon lights the night, not with the intensity of the sun, but enough to create rhythm, to cast shadows, to guide nocturnal life. Without it, the night would be deeper, darker, colder. The moon's glow might seem incidental, poetic even, but perhaps it was designed that way. Perhaps it is a subtle guide, influencing cycles, sleep patterns, hunting habits, migration routes, even the development of nocturnal intelligence. Every night, it reminds us of the rhythm of the cosmos, quietly shaping the behaviors and the lives of every living creature under its gaze. Some theorists go further, suggesting the moon could be a messenger, a silent archive storing data encoded in its rocks, its structure, its orbit, perhaps the patterns, the anomalies, the proportions are a language we haven't yet deciphered. A message waiting for the right civilization, the right species to discover. If so, then its purpose is observation and communication. A cosmic librarian holding secrets we are only beginning to perceive. Then there's the idea of terraforming. The moon may have been placed not just to watch, but to shape conditions on Earth over geological time. its gravitational pull, its effect on tides, its regulation of tilt, all of these factors contribute to a stable, life-friendly environment. Imagine a civilization capable of understanding ecosystems on planetary scales. They didn't just drop the moon in orbit. They crafted an environment, creating a laboratory for life. Humanity is the latest result of that long experiment, emerging billions of years after the moon was set in place. But the moon might also serve as a warning. Its anomalies, its hidden side, the things that disappear from view. It could be a sentinel, a watchtower, reminding observers that the universe is bigger than any one species, that knowledge is dangerous, that curiosity carries consequences. Perhaps we are being observed, tested, or guided without knowing it. Perhaps its purpose is subtle control, keeping life in a balance that we cannot yet comprehend, nudging evolution, nudging civilization, nudging us toward a particular outcome. Consider also the symbolic purpose. The moon has influenced human culture more than anything else in the sky. Our myths, our calendars, our stories, our rituals, they are all shaped by its cycles. Could that be intentional? Could a cosmic architect have designed something that not only affects physical life, but also the spiritual and intellectual growth of a species? If so, the moon is both machine and muse, regulating life while inspiring consciousness. Finally, think about the far side, the side we never see. Perhaps the moon's greatest purpose lies hidden there, a repository, a control center, a mechanism we cannot access. What is hidden from view may hold the key to understanding why it exists at all. Perhaps the secrets there are why humanity has not returned in force. Perhaps it is a signal. When you are ready, you will find the answers. In sum, the moon's purpose may be manifold: stabilizer, life-bringer, teacher, archive, sentinel, muse. It may guide evolution, influence consciousness, regulate cycles, inspire wonder, or even observe us from a distance we cannot measure. Whatever it is deliberate, enduring, and vast. Its purpose is written not in a single moment, but across billions of years. It is a force, a presence, a mechanism intertwined with life itself, and it silently asks us every night to look up and question, why am I here? Why is everything the way it is? What is the intention behind the perfection? If the moon is artificial, its purpose is not something that can be grasped in a day, a lifetime, or even a millennium. Its purpose unfolds across epochs. It shapes planets, life, consciousness, and civilization, and perhaps one day it will reveal that purpose to us if we are ready to see. If the moon is artificial, the consequences for humanity are profound, not just physical, but philosophical, existential, and spiritual. It forces us to reconsider everything we think we know about life, about Earth, and about our place in the universe. First, consider our history. If the moon is a construct placed deliberately, then the very conditions that allowed civilization to arise are not accidental. Every human achievement, from the first settlements to the rise of empires, may owe itself to forces beyond our comprehension. We are products of cosmic engineering, our evolution influenced by a satellite that might have been designed to stabilize the planet, nurture life, and create the perfect environment for intelligence. That realization shifts the story of humanity from random emergence to something far more deliberate, far more extraordinary. Next, consider the implications for science. Everything we study about Earth and the cosmos is based on assumptions of natural order. If the moon is artificial, those assumptions are incomplete at best and misleading at worst. Our physics may work for most cases, but when we study celestial mechanics, orbital patterns, or planetary formation, we may be missing a hidden layer of design. The moon may not follow the rules of chance and chaos. It may follow rules of intelligence, intention, and planning. And if we recognize that, we may need to rethink astronomy, geology, and even biology. Life on Earth itself might be part of a system that extends far beyond our planet. The moon also affects our psychology. Humans have always looked up at the moon and felt awe, fear, or inspiration. If it is artificial, then those feelings are not random. Perhaps the architects of the moon intended it. Perhaps the moon is designed to awaken curiosity, contemplation, or even the drive to explore. It's a monument to intelligence, a reminder that there are forces in the universe capable of extraordinary feats. And if it can inspire us so deeply without words, imagine what we might feel if we fully understood its nature. There are ethical implications too. If the moon was placed intentionally, then the life on Earth, including us, may be part of an experiment, an observation, or a system designed by an intelligence beyond our understanding. Do we have free will, or are actions constrained by the forces of this machine? If we are guided by conditions shaped over billions of years, is our autonomy real, or is it part of a design? That question touches the deepest parts of human consciousness. It asks us to examine what it means to be alive, to act, to think, to choose. If the moon is artificial, then the builders, whoever or whatever they were, possessed capabilities far beyond human comprehension. Their engineering, their energy management, their understanding of planetary mechanics could dwarf our own. Recognizing the moon's artificiality could open pathways to knowledge we cannot yet imagine. It could inspire a leap in science, engineering, and exploration. But it could also remind us of our limitations. Compared to such intelligence, humanity is small, young, and fragile, and spirituality cannot be ignored. For millennia, humans have ascribed divinity to the moon. Its cycles govern calendars, rituals, and myths. If it is artificial, some of those feelings may not just be poetic, they may be encoded in its very design. Its light, its phases, its presence, everything about it may be intentional, meant to shape consciousness, inspire wonder, or teach lessons that unfold over millennia. The moon might not just influence life, it might influence meaning itself. Then there's the future. If the moon is a machine, it may still be active. Its systems could regulate Earth's tilt, monitor life, or perform functions we have yet to detect. And if it is active, humanity may one day need to interact with it responsibly, not as conquerors or exploiters, but as stewards and learners. Its presence may guide us toward a higher understanding, but only if we approach it with patience, humility, and curiosity. Finally, consider the cosmic perspective. If one intelligence could place the moon in orbit, then it is likely not alone. The universe may be full of civilizations capable of feats we cannot yet comprehend. The moon becomes a signal, a hint of what is possible. It suggests that life, intelligence, and design are not unique to Earth, and that the cosmos is far more intricate, interconnected, and deliberate than we often imagine. In short, if the moon is artificial, humanity is part of a story far larger than we thought. Every tide, every eclipse, every shift of seasons, every inspiration drawn from its glow may be influenced by an intelligence that shaped the conditions for life, consciousness, and civilization itself. Recognizing that truth forces humility, awe, and curiosity. It asks us to expand our minds, to consider the unseen, to embrace mystery, and to explore not just space, but our own role within it. The moon becomes more than a satellite. It becomes a mirror, a challenge, a teacher, a witness to our past, our present, and perhaps our future. Now, let us pause at the edge of imagination, at the boundary where evidence, theory, and wonder collide. The moon hangs in the night sky, unchanged in its silent vigil. Yet every detail we have explored suggests it is more than meets the eye. Its size, its orbit, its age, the anomalies, the strange vibrations, the lights, the craters, the Maria, they all whisper possibilities that defy simple explanations. And so the question that began this journey returns, larger and deeper than before. What if the moon is artificial? What if it was placed here intentionally, not by chance, not by cosmic accident, but by a mind capable of shaping worlds, regulating climates, guiding evolution, and influencing the rise of life? What would that mean for humanity? For every story ever told, beneath its glow, for every calendar that measures its phases, for every song, myth, and poem it has inspired, every human thought, every civilization, every scientific discovery may be nested within a vast framework we barely understand. And yet the moon remains the same silent observer. Its presence is unchanged. Its influence is constant. It does not answer. It does not intervene, at least not visibly. But it calls to something within us, something ancient and eternal. The moon challenges us to think beyond the immediate, beyond the obvious, beyond ourselves. It asks us to consider time on scales that dwarf human comprehension, billions of years, epochs, the slow pulse of planetary mechanics. And in that contemplation we find humility and a peculiar comfort, the understanding that we exist within a system far greater than we could imagine. Consider the possibilities we have traced. A hollow world ringing like a bell, a ship ancient and immense, a machine regulating life on Earth, a repository, an archive, a library in stone and dust, a sentient observer watching the slow evolution of a planet. Each possibility stretches the mind, challenges certainty, and transforms the way we see our world. And yet, for all this speculation, one truth remains. We do not know. We only wonder. That wonder is itself a gift. The moon, whether rock or artifact, machine or sentinel, teaches us to hold questions without needing answers. It reminds us that uncertainty is not a weakness, but a doorway to insight. To look at the moon is to confront the infinite, the vast unknown of space, time, intelligence, and possibility. It invites patience. It invites curiosity. It invites us to embrace the beauty of the unknowable. And here is where it becomes personal. Look inward. Consider your life under the moon. Every night you have walked beneath it, every tide that has shaped the coastline, every inspiration drawn from its glow has left an imprint on you. If the moon is artificial, then in some sense we are part of its design. Every rhythm of life, every cycle of birth and growth may be shaped by forces unseen. And yet within those parameters, choice, consciousness, and creativity persist. The moon may shape conditions, but it does not decide what we think, how we love, or what we become. In that tension between influence and autonomy, between design and discovery, lies the profound lesson of the moon. It is not just a celestial body, not just a scientific curiosity. It is a bridge between the tangible and the infinite, between certainty and wonder. To look at the moon is to engage with forces that shaped worlds, guided evolution, and perhaps planted the seeds of consciousness itself. And so we return to the question, what if? What if everything we know about the moon, about our history, about life itself, is incomplete? What if the moon is a construct, a machine, a sentinel, a guide, or a relic of an intelligence that dwarfs our own? What if our understanding of reality is only the beginning, a first glance at a universe far more deliberate, intricate, and mysterious than we ever imagined? The question does not demand an answer. Its power lies in its ability to transform perception, to invite reflection, to awaken a sense of awe and curiosity that connects the observer to the cosmos. To make us realize that, in the presence of the moon, we are participants in something vast and enduring, something older than memory, older than life itself. So, as you sit beneath the night sky, or lie awake with the moon shining through a window, consider this. It is there, watching, guiding, enduring, and its presence is not just a matter of gravity or orbit, but of possibility. Every detail we have explored, the rings, the lights, the anomalies, the rhythms of Earth it controls, may be evidence or may be coincidence, but the real gift is the question itself, the invitation to think, to wonder, to expand the mind. To see beyond the world we know and glimpse what might be. And in the end, perhaps that is the purpose of the moon, whether artificial or natural, to endure, to inspire, to teach patience, observation, and the humility of consciousness, to remind us that the universe is larger than our understanding, and that life, curiosity, and awe are threads in a design we may only partially comprehend. And so tonight, as you look up, ask softly, what if? What if the moon is more than a rock? What if it has been watching, guiding, shaping life for eons? What if it holds secrets we are only beginning to understand? And in asking, realize that the wonder itself is enough, that the moon in all its mystery calls us to look up, to reflect, and to imagine, because in that act of imagination we participate in the cosmos, and in the eternal story written across the night sky. The moon waits, the question remains, and in the silence of its orbit we find the infinite.